Another FPL season has now kicked off. I'll go through a quick rundown on a Game Week 1 review and the bench boost and the Game Week 2 wildcards. Let's get straight into it.
From outside the box, a fantasy Premier League podcast with FPL Hull.
I've mentioned in other videos and threads on Twitter why I went for a bench boost in Game Week 1 wildcard Game Week 2. Just in short, analytically speaking, they believe it's the best time to play in Game Week 1 with a wildcard Game Week 2. We have a World Cup wildcard in Game Week 16 anyway, so usually people historically would play their wildcard within Game Weeks 2 to 8. That can be moved earlier now because of Game Week 16 given a wildcard. And also, the fixtures were there. On paper, you know, I could triple up against all the newly promoted sides with teams that looked to have had a good preseason or had quality within their side. And also for the rest of the season now, I can just focus on my starting 11, whereas other people at some point using one of your wildcards, or you're going to have to take hits to sort out a bench boost. So when it comes to a double game week, my 11 will be my strongest 11 with every penny spent on that starting 11, whereas you will have to divide some of your funds to stick onto your bench. So let's have a quick look. It was 71 points, which puts me about 1.2 million. I did take a risk. I'll zoom in so you guys can see this, but I had no City and I went for Kane over Haaland. And I'm sure a lot of you guys right now are in the same boat. If you've gone for Haaland over Kane, you're probably having a really great start. If you've got Kane over Haaland, you're probably feeling very unlucky, but it is fine, guys. I got 71 points and I'm 1.2 million. It's like every 10 points is 500k. So it's like 90 points is 25k, right? So I've got 71, 90 is inside 25k from 1.2 million. So it's only Game Week 1. So please chill out. I also went with no Arsenal because I felt like Crystal Palace's defense was strong enough. They were 5th best defense statistically last season, and they were also they were the only team to shut out Man City as well. And Arsenal often start seasons, the first game, not particularly well, and I just felt Friday Night Football at Selhurst Park could have been something different, but Jesus did get nothing. Saka got an assist though, and clean sheet for the defense, so maybe I should have invested there. Ifs and buts, we can't play that game. I can't sit here and say, oh, Haaland over Kane, and I would have been, you know, up another 10 points. That's FPL. There's no point in looking back. Let's look forward. But just before we go into some wildcard drafts, so Guaita was a silly pick, but it turned out no one kept a clean sheet from this sort of 4.5 million goalkeeper region. Anyway, I just thought if I'm not getting Arsenal players, I'm going to double down. I need a 4.5 million goalkeeper. So Guaita, why not? The double Liverpool defense, Liverpool looked well off it. I'm sure we can all agree, but I'm still obviously believing that Trent and Robertson can come good. They will likely, at least Trent will be in my Game Week 2 wildcard, despite Trent probably being the worst player on the pitch against Fulham. Reece James, I massively believed in that clean sheet for Chelsea due to the fact that they didn't have a senior striker, Everton. And I did have Ward and Mendy. So again, a few lost points. That was actually a social media problem where someone had messaged it and it's completely my fault. I thought, yeah, I shouldn't risk Ward because I don't know. Even I had Mendy and Ward, so let's split it 4.5 million. And that's my own fault. I should have backed myself. So that's a lesson for everyone to learn. You know, sometimes it's just better to just turn off Twitter because I did that like an hour before deadline. And it's cost me, I think, something like 5 points. So just be wary about that. Luca Dean, Aston Villa looking well off it. Steven Gerrard, if you really look at his managerial record at Villa under a microscope, it is not doing well. Mo Salah, yet again, what more can you say about the man? He's just ridiculous. He's now joint record holder for consecutive opening game week goals, and he usually holds on that first game week. So when you see these big scores with triple captain Salah, I completely understand it. I did it when they played Norwich at home. I triple captain Salah in that game week. So goal and assist, and he did nothing in the first half. Liverpool were well off it, and he still walks away with a haul. That is just what you get with Mo Salah. Neto, popular pick. I doubled with the Wolves because I looked, again, game week 1, it's kind of like a free hit for me. And I looked at the Leeds side. They had 7 players out. They've lost Rafinha. They've lost Phillips. Wolves had a good preseason. Pretty well gelled together. 4 at the back now for Wolves, which meant that they were more of an attacking threat. And unfortunately, they got beat. But I didn't care if they were conceding goals. I wanted the attack. See, Neto only got me 2. He actually played well. He looked exciting. But Podence bringing me a double-digit haul. He was the one where a lot of people looked and thought, oh, double Wolves. I was like, yeah, I know, double Wolves. But they had Neto, I had both of them, and I just felt Podence was going to play down the middle. Now, we found out that Morgan Gibbs-White might be moving from Wolves because it was going to be Morgan Gibbs-White down the middle. It was going to be Morgan Gibbs-White on the wing, Neto on the wing, and Podence down the middle. But they went with Hwang, with Podence just behind, took his goal well. Neto over to Hwang. Hwang knocks it down to Podence, and it's a goal. But yeah, they're not going to be in my Game Week 2 wildcard. It was purely because of Leeds' supposed struggles, but they actually played really, really well. Bamford could have got a haul on another day. Going up front, Harry Kane. Again, it was basically a free hit, and I saw West Ham away for Man City and Haaland, and I saw Kane at home Southampton. Look, Man City won 2-0, and Haaland scored 2 goals. Spurs won 4-1 and Harry Kane scored 0. That's just the way it is. It happens. You know, you play that game week 10 times, another 10 times, and you find out that maybe Kane scores more points than Haaland. It just happens. Deal with it. Now, Haaland has already gone up in price and Kane's already gone down. So that's basically like a 0.5 million difference now because start of the season, everyone's team value is basically just at 100 million. So if you've not got Haaland now, you've got no money in the bank. Would I take a hit Kane? Would I hit Kane out for Haaland at home against Bournemouth? No, I don't think I would. But if I had a free transfer, I probably would make that move. Watkins didn't even start, and I thought he would because he was playing the couple of pre-seasons just before in the strongest 11. But again, talk about Villa, way off the boil, poor. Newcastle, you can see I've got a trio here. Wilson, Trippier, Almiron. Wilson getting a really well-taken goal. Could have scored more if Alex Saint-Maximin wasn't greedy. Trippier, clean sheet, actually, and a bonus as well. But Trippier, for me, was not the best player. He was pretty sloppy in possession. Defensively fine. Crosses were sound, but it just felt he's a bit rusty. I think he's only played 8 times for Newcastle before he got that injury, so I think he's still lacking a little bit of match fitness, but the quality's still there. So if you're on Trippier, I think he should be fine. But for me, my star of the weekend was Almiron. He just stuck out to me. I think he was fantastic. Bruno Guimaraes was playing some lovely through balls. He was an absolute star for Newcastle, but a few times Almiron was threaded through by Bruno. And one example, Almiron plump on St. Maximin's head, like 6 yards out. Goalkeeper's missed it, and Maximin's just spooned his header wide. On another day, Almiron's getting 15 points in that game. There was 2 opportunities where if he'd have just swung his foot or just took the shot with his right foot, which is his weak foot, he could have had an opportunity. He was a bit delayed at time, but he had a wicked pre-season. And if they don't sign a winger, it's going to be him or Fraser on that wing, but massively impressive. Not just his work rate in terms of a footballer, but in FPL, if St. Maximin was a little bit more clinical and less greedy, Wilson and Almiron could have got a lot more points there. Bailey, don't need to discuss him. People are going to hold him for Everton, which I completely understand. But Villa is, for me, just, if you are wildcarding as well, is just a no-go. And Meslier was my other 4.5 million goalkeeper. I had double Wolves attack, so I thought if they're going to be toothless again this year, because Wolves were the worst attacking side that didn't get relegated last year, so I thought I'd back Meslier because they might pull something off. Wolves still scored for Podence, which is great, but Meslier got me some save points, which I think if you've got a 4.5 million goalkeeper, Meslier's got good fixtures and he could get you some save points. But I think the popular decision right now is to either double up on those Leicester 4 million keepers, Iverson and Ward, or go for 4.5 million Sanchez, 4 million Ward, and rotate them. Let's have a look at some Game Week 2 wildcards. So here we have my Darwin and Haaland and Mitrovic one here. So I'll just go through for those who are just listening. Iverson and Ward, this is that double up, 8 million, and you've definitely got a goalkeeper starting for you. At the back, I've got Saliba, 4.5 million, really impressive for Arsenal. He would be on my bench. It's Walker Cancelo for that double Man City defense and Trent as the Liverpool defender. And I've got Cucurella here as 5 million. That could be any 5 million that you want. It could be Zinchenko, for example. I know he's 5.1 now, but if you've got Zinchenko, that's fine. I just feel that Chelsea's got great fixtures, and if Cucurella's going to get in. I don't think Chelsea spent 50 plus million to bench him or just rotate him with Chilwell. But if he plays left wing back or left centre back, he could be a good option. But that's just a 5 million placeholder if you want somebody else there. Going to the midfield, you can see it would be a 3-man midfield. De Silva took his goal well, and Andreas, who played well in that very impressive Fulham side, would be on the bench. And it would be a 3 of Martinelli, Salah, and Saka. So I've got good price points there. I've got 6 million Martinelli, 8 million Saka, and then, of course, Salah. And then 3 up front. Mitrovic, 6.5 million as well. It wasn't just that he scored 2 goals. We wanted to see if he could adapt. I know it's only game week 1, but he's already gone up in price as well. He's the talisman of the team. He's on penalties. And remember, if I'm wildcarding game week 2, I've got to get to game week 16. Of course, I've got free transfers, but Fulham's fixtures up to game week 16 isn't too bad, and I think he'll cause trouble for a lot of sides now. And then, of course, Darwin and Haaland. So Darwin is my 3rd Liverpool player here. Such a game changer. Now, I'm usually a manager that's really cautious about picking players based on minutes. It's often why I've not used any Manchester City midfielders like Phil Foden, because they get rotated out a lot. And maybe they, look at Mahrez. He came on for a minute yesterday. It's very frustrating. And I still think double Man City defense and the Haaland or KDB is the best play for Man City. But looking at Liverpool, Darwin could come on for 30 minutes or he could start the game. He's just going to be that main goal threat for Liverpool now, I think. So I'm going to try and be less X minutes this year, expected minutes, and more who do I think just has the highest ceiling? Who do I think has got a lot of potential? And Darwin came on, I think it was the 50th minute, and he was up there in stats. He was getting thread through all the time. He had the opportunities, a couple of flicks and things like that. Give him more game time to gel into this Liverpool side. And it's the spearhead. Firmino's a false 9 who drops back, but Darwin is your poacher, your goal scorer, your man in the 6-yard box, basically. And for a Liverpool side, with Salah or Diaz putting it on a plate, or Robert or Trent putting it on a plate for you, and he's really great in the air as well. That's why there's those comparisons between Darwin Núñez and Haaland. And so this would just be an exciting draft where Darwin might not start a lot of games, or he might start most of them, but it's the short-term impact that he could have. And of course, Haaland is there. He was in my game week 1 draft if I wasn't bench boosting. But after that West Ham performance, I don't think there's anyone worried right now if you can do it in the Premier League or not. So this one is a 5-3-2 formation. Again, we've still got Darwin and Haaland up front as your key attackers. Remember, having no bench boost now means I'm not that bothered about my bench if I've got some playing midfielders like Andreas and De Silva, which you can see. And I've still got Martinelli, Salah and Saka, not just for the ability. And the idea why I've got Saka as well, none of my drafts right now have Gabriel Jesus. Not that I don't think he's a good option. I just think structurally I would rather have like a Haaland and a Mitrovic and use the money in midfield, or I would rather go like 3 up front and not have Jesus and have Saka. So Saka for me, Saka Martinelli to cover Jesus' ownership. But again, I just look at value for strikers, and Saka and Jesus I think are going to be really close. But remember, Saka's going to get the extra point for goals and for clean sheets. So that's just why I'm leaning towards that way. Not just necessarily because Gabriel Jesus is so highly owned. And then we go into the defense. It's pretty similar. I've improved Iverson to a 4.5 million Sanchez because Brighton and Leicester have good rotation fixtures, so you can swap Sanchez and Ward around. And you can see I've got Trent, Walker, Cancelo, Zinchenko, and James. So James comes into this side. Again, Zinchenko, if you're not interested in him, Cucurella or any 5 million player that you are interested in, like Gabriel, if you don't think Zinchenko's going to keep starting, which I think he will. But you can see here, 5-3-2. And I'm not against it. I'm a lover of big at the back. And if you can go out there and you can basically get another draft that I've had as well is where it's like Trent and Robbo and James and Walker and Cancelo. If you've got such a solid defense and focus all your moves on the attack, I don't think that's necessarily a bad move. So just like earlier when I mentioned about not having Jesus but having like a Haaland and Mitrovic, you can see they're my strikers in this one. I think this could be the year of the forwards. I think they could be back. But I still look. So a point that I made about Darwin Núñez is he came on 40 minutes, he gets a goal, he gets an assist, and he still doesn't get double digits. Salah gets a goal and assist and gets 12 points, double digit haul. So it's even though Darwin's on for less and he does just as much as a 90-minute Salah, he gets fewer points, and that's something that puts me off. Like, Haaland is someone I'll give the armband to. Darwin Núñez is someone I wouldn't. I would just give it to Salah. So I think forwards still need to prove their value to me. Haaland is my second captaincy option in this side. That's why 11.5 million would be worth it for him. But 9 million for Darwin Núñez, for someone I won't captain, who might lose minutes, and he might not be as valuable point-wise as you can see Diaz, who's $1 million cheaper. That's why I'm a little reluctant to go so big up front, because I just think strikers have to do even more than those attacking midfielders to earn more points, which is why last season we didn't really see a lot of teams with those forwards in. Going to the midfield then, something I like about this side, you can see it's a 4-4-2, but Martinelli is at 6 million. I think he's the best value. I think he's a great option. Salah, of course. And then you can say I've got two 8 millions. I've got Diaz and I've got Saka. So something I really like about this is having those two players at an 8 million price point. So if Diaz isn't doing it, I can go to 8 million and below. There's a lot of players around there. You've got Kulusevski, you've got Maddison, you can go down to whoever. So I like having two 8 million price points, because that's where sort of those juicy midfielders are. And then on the bench, of course, Andres Pereira. And then going into defense, double Man City defense with Trent and Reece James, Saliba as probably the first sub. Again, an Arsenal defender who potentially might come on sometimes for Haaland if he's rotated out. I don't think it's a bad option. And remember, I'm looking for longevity, because I don't have a wild card and I need to trust a good, solid first sub 4.5 million defender to come in there just in case. And Arsenal have good fixtures until basically the World Cup. Just a couple of little difficult ones, but if you are wildcarding, just remember to give yourself one 4.5 million defender sub from a top side like Arsenal or whoever, just in case. So this is where I'm looking at right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Just before we look at the Game Week 2 fixtures, I'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm still hoping now to be back with weekly videos and streams. And it would be really great if I could get your support. So let's have a look at the Game Week 2 fixtures then. Arsenal against Leicester. Leicester still conceding a lot of goals. People jumping off Gabriel Jesus because of one blank. I still think he played really well. He's still going to be key to that Arsenal side. Like I said, just for me personally, structure-wise, I'm probably going for Saka, because I can jump off Arsenal if I want to or need to. And I just prefer midfielder points than positions than attacking positions, but I think this one's got an Arsenal win on it. But I still, what I've said before about Leicester is, even though they concede goals, that attack force of Maddison and Vardy when Barnes is back, I just think they've got goals in them. The lack of Barnes hinders Leicester, but I still think they could score here, because Arsenal were very lucky not to concede, I think, against Palace. I think it was Eze who had a really good opportunity. Just one example of many that Palace should have scored against Arsenal. So I see this one being a 3-1 to Arsenal. Brighton Newcastle's going to be really tight. Brighton did a fantastic job against Manchester United. 2-1 winners there. Newcastle were not tested at all. So I watched 90 minutes for all of these, by the way, if you guys didn't know. And then I watched Match of the Day as well. And Notts Forest basically did nothing against Newcastle. So Botman didn't start, but even when something was happening with Newcastle against Nottingham Forest, they looked solid, but I can't really comment on what's going to happen defensively here. Brighton, they scored 2 goals against United, but usually we say they don't have the best attack. This one I think is going to be something like a 1-1. Wilson maybe to carry on his good form to get a goal there. Man City, Bournemouth shocked, I think, everybody. Villa were bad, guys. Villa were really bad. But Bournemouth, with that defense, keeping a clean sheet, and just incredible. I can't believe it. They played well as well. So I don't know what to say, but it's Man City at home. For me, Haaland's going to be my captain this week. Salah's going to be close, but again, Palace can have a good defense. But Haaland at home to the 3rd promoted side from last season, I can't look past that. And again, I'm going to back double City defense as well, because the likes of Foden and Grealish, I don't think they get a lot of points, and they rotate a lot. You can see so many subs happening from 60, 70 minutes onwards. Even Haaland himself got subbed. But you give me 70 minutes of Haaland against Bournemouth, and I'll thank you very much for that one. Having a look at Southampton Leeds, Southampton look well below par. We knew it. We looked at the starting lineup and thought, I'm not too knowledgeable about these players. It's like year on year players are in and out. It just, I don't know if it's the coach who's blaming his defense. That's why he said he likes to play higher up, because he doesn't trust his own defenders in their box. Leeds with still a lot of people out, but they've got that grit and determination, Leeds, and you feel as though Bamford could always get something out of nothing. So I think despite having such issues and me piling on Leeds, I didn't think that they were going to start. I thought they were going to be whipping boys early on because no Phillips, no Rafinha, and so many injuries and Dan James suspension. But I'm going to say Leeds are going to go there and probably win 2-1 because Southampton look way off it. Wolves against Fulham. I would have said Wolves before this game week, but Fulham were absolutely fantastic against Liverpool. They did to Liverpool what Liverpool want to do to other teams. So if Fulham can keep that up, I'm going to say a mid-table finish. But if that was just game week 1 opening fixture luck and Liverpool were that bad, then but it's wait and see. It's wait and see. But for this one, if Wolves struggle to score, I don't think they will. The problem Fulham's going to have is their defense. I think that they're going to leak goals. So I'm going to have this one down as a 1-1 as well. Going on to Brentford, Manchester United. Brentford, really good job coming back from 2-0 down. They looked out of it, fought back. Even just as the second half started, Leicester get that second goal. They look on top and then bang. Brentford could have even gone on to win it. Manchester United just are doing Manchester United things recently. That's the way that we can describe him. If you say, our team's probably doing a Manchester United, that's why, because they just look disheveled. They still don't look organized. It's going to take Ten Hag time to put his style stamp on the Manchester United team. I understand that, but I don't know if the quality of McFred in the middle is still a problem for them. You know, they finished that game against Brighton with no defensive midfielders. Like everyone from who wasn't a defender forward was an attacking midfielder or a striker, and they still couldn't break down Brighton. Now Brighton are known to be a very strong, stubborn defense, but for this one, again, you just don't know what Manchester United side you're going to get. Brentford at home is not going to be easy, so I'm gonna say 2-1 Brentford, and I think Manchester United are going to be very negative for a while here. Nottingham Forest, West Ham. I said Nottingham Forest did nothing against Newcastle. Maybe the excitement of being at home back in the Premier League might, G them up a bit. West Ham were, I don't want to say they were poor against Man City, because Man City is just that next level. Usually Liverpool's like that as well. It was like a training exercise sometimes for Manchester City. But West Ham against Notts Forest, I'm going to say 2-0 West Ham. I think they've still got a solid defense. Souček and Rice protecting that back line is that's a midfield that should be playing for Manchester United, basically. And if Bowen comes alive, and with Samaka, the new striker, if Antonio's fit, get those up against those Nottingham Forest boys, and they could be in big trouble. So yeah, 2-0 West Ham. Chelsea Spurs is going to be tight. I'm going to put this down as a 1-1 because Chelsea don't concede a lot of goals. Spurs will try and counter them, but Chelsea try and do the same thing. I think it's going to be a bit of a tight affair, this one. So I'm going to stick this one down as 1-1. And then Liverpool Palace, I think it's going to be tight. But Palace not scoring is an issue. So I'm going to have this down as 2-0 Liverpool. Thank you very much for watching today's video, guys. If you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you click on the video up here, that is the previous stream just for Game Week 1. We talk not just about Game Week 1, but about our structures, plans, advice, suggestions. I go into detail and get asked questions about why bench boost Game Week 1 and wildcard Game Week 2. And if you like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. Let me know in the comments below, how did your season begin? What do you think about the bench boost Game Week 1 plan? And who is your transfer and captain for Game Week 2? Hope to see you guys on Friday. If not, I'll be streaming on Saturday mornings, hopefully before all the big streams are happening by all the big accounts. That's just due to life. I would like to keep the Friday evening slot or Friday lunchtime slot for those back in the UK, but that's life. It might have to be Saturdays, but either way, always take care, guys, and have a good one.